Welcome to Your Food Business Success. This podcast is for early stage entrepreneurs in the packaged food industry ready to finally turn that delicious idea into reality. I'm your host, Sari Kimball. I have guided hundreds of food brand founders to success as an industry expert and business coach, and it's gotta be fun. In this podcast, I share with you mindset tools to become a true entrepreneur and run your business like a boss. Interviews with industry experts to help you understand the business you are actually in, and food founder journeys so you can learn what worked and didn't work and not feel so alone in your own journey. Now let's jump in. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited today. I cannot believe it has taken this long to bring Jessica with Fireworks Butters onto the podcast. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you, Sari. I'm happy to be here.
Oh my gosh. So happy for you to be here. I'll do a little intro, but we're just going to talk. We're going to have some open dialogue conversation. I was thinking about it this morning as I was getting ready and thinking about getting to talk to you you're one of my early OGs back to 2019.
Yeah.
That spring.
I know. I've been here a long time. Still hanging in.
I know. I remember meeting you at an event and then us cultivating a relationship and starting to work together one-on-one. And you've been in all the things and done all the stuff. So we'll get into all of that. But it's a relationship that we've become friends and colleagues and coach and all the things.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. And yeah, just to be along with you on the journey and, sharing our experiences has been really fun and great. So I appreciate it too.
So Jessica, I'll read a little or kind of change up your intro here, but you started Fireworks Chef Butters in the fall of 2016. The goal is to help busy, time-starved home chefs create easy, flavor-packed meals. You are a lifelong foodie and was inspired by a family recipe for steak butter. And then you have started that. You started at farmers markets originally. Let's see, the line has grown from original 4 recipes to you have about 11 flavors now. And you are partnering with a really great organization called Boulder Bridge House. That's a nonprofit that helps make your butters. So I'm sure we can talk a little bit more about that. But they basically provide housing and job training to those experiencing homelessness and joblessness. So it's cool that you have a little partnership, the butters giving back to your community. So we're going to just get into it and talk about your journey to start with. So can you just kind of take us, we'll go in the Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
2016.
I really wanted a job, really is what it comes down to. I wanted something that was going to offer flexibility, creativity, and fulfillment. And we had this family recipe and my husband and I were like, let's just try it because it's generations old. And the aunts and uncles have always said somebody needs to do something with this recipe. And since I love to tinker around, I just kind of created some other recipes to go along with it so I could have like a line for these compound butters to launch with. And I'm actually going to do a quick correction. I really did launch at Lucky's South Boulder. So it wasn't farmers markets first because the commissary kitchen that I was using was in that same parking lot. So I just brought it to the meat buyer and the grocery buyer. And it's like, do you guys want to take this? Like, what do you think? And they're like, sure. We have no idea where we're going to put it, but let's give it a shot. And when can you start demoing? I'm like, tomorrow.
Oh
so
my gosh. Those were the days.
Those
right?
are the days. You just pull in there with your table and your samples and you just go for it. And so I did. And at the time, Lucky's Market was in a bunch of different states. We had 5 or 6 locations here around Denver. And so I kind of just made the circuit. And now that took, from 2017 to 2019 to get into those different doors. But and other shops, alfalfas and other, but I was doing some farmers markets. And funny enough, I didn't really do the full-time farmers market booth until after COVID. Um, because of my family. Like it's just so difficult to manage that all. So anyways, yeah, that's how the journey started, was at South Boulder Lucky's, and no longer exists, but we are still in North Boulder Lucky's and in Fort Collins. Yeah, so that's kind of the history and how it started. And of course, giving away to friends as gifts and, but it is a high-end premium product. And let's be honest, kind of starting a new category. Like it's not a well-known part of the grocery store where people are like, oh yeah, fancy butter.
Where did I pick that up?
What do I do? What do I do with
list.
this? Like, I don't know. Do I want this? Do I need this? Tell me. And of course, when everybody tries it, they're like, oh yeah, I need this. This is amazing. This is so good. How did I not know that this existed before?
Yeah.
So
what gave you the courage in your 40s, very early 40s when you started, but to do this and juggling a family? I mean, you have 3 kids, so you got a lot.
You get to those phases in life where you're like, I feel complete in one aspect of my life, but there is another aspect where I know my full potential is not reached, and I'm not going to feel like fully my own person unless I go after this, unless I start something. And I did interview. I was looking in marketing jobs. I was trying to be creative in graphic design, and I just wasn't feeling that fulfillment. So after my daughter was born, and maybe it was having a daughter that I wanted to, really go after this to prove that you can be a mom and have what you want. It's not always going to be pretty, and it's not going to be overnight. It takes a long time, but it can be done. And just felt like it was important that my sons could see this too. Like, this is a side of mom that is important to her, and she needs to follow her dreams. So that was kind of, that feeling of angst. Like, I'm not quite complete yet. Like, I have more to offer the world. And if this means I'm going to go into a food business, let's test it and see how that makes me feel.
Yeah.
So that's how I came about it.
How do you think that's affected maybe the time that it's taken, or the trajectory that it's taken? I mean, it sounded like you were hesitant to work farmers markets at the beginning because of your family, right? And that just wasn't going to work. So you think back on, I mean, that's a 4-year journey, basically, or 8-year journey, sorry.
Yeah. This is my 8th year. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it's not going to be quick, and you have to be patient, obviously. And you have to tell yourself, stay in your lane. Like, back when I started, there was money everywhere, and everybody was talking about hockey stick growth. And I would fall into these pits of despair. Like, oh my God, I can't compare to them. I have no business experience. I don't know anything about the food and beverage industry. I'm an artist. Who am I? So yeah, I would say, like, it takes time, and it is not for the faint of heart. But if you have that drive and that motivation to prove to yourself, or maybe it's to prove to your kids or your husband or whatever, your spouse, that this is important to you, it's important to do it. So
absolutely.
If you have the time, coming at this knowing full well, I'm very privileged. I have this ability to do this, and not everybody does. So I want to make sure that that's clear. Like,
yeah, absolutely. And you had, your husband supports you and your family. It's almost a little bit of a family business, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Not that the kids want to necessarily be involved in it all the time, but
they get to pack butters sometimes.
They get pulled in.
Stickers on.
Yeah. My son is actually begging me to do farmers markets again this year because he says he's broke and he wants a steady income. I'm like, okay, be careful what you ask for.
But you just kept putting one foot in front of the other. You figured it out. You launched in 2016. You got you figured out the licensing. You got the commercial kitchen. You were bold enough to just walk over to Lucky's and say, "Hey." You
Yeah.
just you kept hustling, you didn't give up. And so you got into those accounts and you were bold enough to apply for a specialty food award as well. So tell us a little bit about that experience.
I am fortunate in that I've had some great friends that have been, paving the way in business. So I've seen them apply for awards. I've seen them do really well and have success. And I thought, well, if I'm going to be a food company, isn't it really worth something to see that it's award winning? Like, doesn't that make a difference if you're purchasing something or if there's a really crowded category? Like, it kind of is meaningful, right? So I found the Specialty Food Association literally just by Googling National Food Awards. how can I how can I get this product in front of a panel and see, what happens? And I was really lucky. The first year that I applied, one of my flavors won. But I understand why. At that moment in time, the Specialty Food Association was looking for products with botanicals in it. This was back in 2019, and I have honey lavender sea salt. So they were all over the honey lavender flavor.
Which is my favorite.
Thank you. It is a top seller. Yeah, it receives a lot of attention. So yeah, I think it was because I, just thought about like what would be impactful and meaningful for somebody who's bootstrapping. I mean, I'm not personally wealthy. We don't have family money. My husband and I are doing this ourselves. And so if you don't have money to pay for PR or, huge agency, applying for those things can often help. Now, you also still have to weed out the noise because there's a lot once you get those accolades. Oh, it can be like too much.
And so then you decided to go to Fancy Food Show in 2020, which I was there as well. And it's so funny to think, so wild to think back, right? Because that was January of 2020, and we're all in San Francisco.
Yeah.
But you like didn't have a fancy booth or anything like that.
No.
You
And
did
again,
it.
it was because I went to Expo West in spring of 2016. My friend Willow had a small booth at Expo West, which I can't even imagine how much those small booths, even back then, how much they are. She was sitting there manning it herself and like having a time of her life. People come, and her product is like super specialty niche, or it was at the time. And so I was like, gosh, if Willow can do it, hell yeah, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to do it. I slept on my cousin's couch in his basement.
And you worked it by yourself.
I did. I brought the trophy in my carry-on suitcase. And I had samples. What was I doing? Like butter that melts. Like I carried it with me. I know that's funny memories.
It.
Yeah, and then COVID happened.
And you had some interesting leads, and you were in wholesale, and then COVID happened, and everything just like ground to a halt.
Totally halted everything. And I had to homeschool 3 kids, and we had relatives living with us. I mean, it was kind of an insane experience.
And all of the grocery, all of that just
everything
stopped,
just
right?
My commissary kitchen went away. It was used as a COVID site, like where they were putting beds. I don't know that they actually had patients there, but
yeah,
that commissary kitchen was shut down and unavailable. So, and I could have spent the money and moved into a different one in Denver, but I wasn't willing to do the drive and put that stress on my family during an already really stressful time. So I just halted everything and waited it out. What's going to happen. And luckily good things did happen.
Yeah. So tell us about what happened as you waited. You just sometimes have to be like, all right, take a pause.
I'm going to sit here and just watch from the sidelines. Around October, November of 2020, my friend came to me. He's like, okay, it's time. You need a rebrand. And he has an ad agency here in Boulder. And it's like, okay, what you thinking? He's like, well, what do you want help with? What do we want to do? And I'm like, well, I kind of want to repackage. Sari, my friend, gave me this great idea to change from a jar to a little puck. He's like, okay, we got this. And we did a whole, he calls it a brand hack. We sat in with probably, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 people and really looked to deep dive into my brand and the values and the pillars. And it was a really fun exercise. But it took a couple weeks and I got, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 different iterations of what the brand could look like and where it could go. And I chose my favorite. And what it amounted to in the end was 4 packs and labels, because we didn't really have a budget and we're bootstrapping, as I mentioned. So we were definitely confined by finances. But he gave me sort of the roadmap to where we could head with a new website. And, at the time I was also switching from Squarespace to Shopify. So
I helped you with your website and the design, package design.
Right. So from that whole exercise, we did get some new materials that we could move forward with in the market. And then lo and behold, Bridge House comes to me. And I had been sort of on this waiting list because I knew another Boulder entrepreneur had been using them to help to make her brownies. Our kids were on the same swim team, so we would see each other, around athletic events, and we, keep in touch. And so she put in a good word for me. And over the years, they had been making salsas, fresh guacamole, things like that for Lucky's Market and alfalfas and other local markets. So because of COVID, everything shut down and they had room for me, or time for me, I should say. And I wasn't quite ready because this was like December of 2020. I wasn't really selling. I had no place to put it. And so I was like, well, let's just be in touch. I would really like to start selling again next year. You let me know when it works best. And so about March 2021, we started talking and I was applying for farmers markets. And so we started that partnership spring of 2021 and never looked back. It's been wonderful. And not only because it takes that load off of me having to make all of the product, but it really feels like, a good fit because I love helping. It's giving back to the community. I get to know these people, in not just the executive chef, but I do get to meet the trainees and, joke around and have rapport. And I think it's not only beneficial for where they are in their journey, but me too, as an entrepreneur. You can actually see the results of, this labor and giving them the confidence to move forward in their life and career. So
one thing I notice about you over the years is like, you do have some reserve and tension and worry about making investments, but then I think you do a good job of like coming back to your heart and saying, all right, what's right for me and right for my business where I'm at. And then you still find a way, right? You go and find the money to make those leaps, even if it was like when we started doing your packaging to do fancy food. I mean, you still had to pay for that booth. And, Danny and I talked about making investments in your business, the last podcast. And yes, you are bootstrapping, but you do make investments along the way in your business. And I would also say you are resourceful in that you are full of resources and that you are scrappy and you are willing to be a little bold and do some crazy things that some people might not consider doing. You're willing to be uncomfortable and do it anyway. And you made an investment in a who that you needed in order to grow your business, even maybe before you were quite ready for it. Like it was still scary, but you did it anyway. Because ultimately you could not scale your business and start doing wholesale unless you got some of your time back from the production
Yeah.
piece.
No, you can't. I mean, and it's still a juggle and a stress because I always want more time to do sales and marketing. And it just, it doesn't always go the way you want it to. But at the same time, we are sort of constrained with how much product and inventory we can have because it is still all made by hand. It's still very much, you know, made as if it was made by my hands. And so because of that, yeah, we can't go after huge accounts because I don't have a 6-month supply.
And that's the next level we're working on.
It keeps me grounded. Yeah, it does, for sure. But yeah, I always have my eye on how it would go for the next level.
And
So
you've also made investments in some who's, I mean, certainly me and my programs, but also going to shows. And you had an assistant for a while. It was helping you with marketing and some packaging and things. So it's scary and like, is it going to work out? But you do make investments. And I think if you look back over those 8 years, you can see how you made huge jumps along the
yeah,
way.
yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, it is scary and nerve-wracking. And you're right. It's just one foot in front of the next and keep that focus, tunnel vision. I mean, like I said, I'm an artist, so bright, shiny objects. I'm like, oh, that looks fun.
Yeah.
You know, but I really have to keep my head in in the game and be mindful of what is the most important thing to move it forward.
And then you did farmers markets again. So let's see, it wasn't 21, but 22 is when you did a ton of markets, right?
Yes. And that's when I had to staff them. And we hired 2 girls who were best friends from high school. One of them was my intern, the assistant that you were talking about. She was going to Metro State and getting her marketing degree. So it was kind of a perfect fit. She could help me with social media and marketing and stuff, and also do sales at the farmers markets. It was awesome. But as many founders know who have to staff, the markets never are as profitable when you're staffing with somebody else besides you, the founder. But it was a great learning experience for me to be the boss, make the model so they could actually earn commissions. We weren't upside down, because that can easily happen too if you're helping with mileage and they're hourly. Yeah, I think I didn't do markets in 2023 because it was a lot of stress. And we kind of just broke even. So it was sort of like, do I want all that stress with the family? And, I wanted a year off. So,
but it did help you. How did the markets help you grow the wholesale piece?
It really did immensely. I think I got probably 4 or 5 wholesale accounts, one of which is one of my best accounts still to this day. Yeah, nothing compares with the sort of influence that you can gain from being there weekly and seeing those customers. And then, because you never know, word of mouth is so helpful in this kind of business too. So yeah, I had people coming up to me saying, "Oh, you need to be in Sam's Meats in Aurora. You need to be in such and such in Lakewood." Da, da, da. And it works.
It's a great way to go into new markets, to go into if you want to get into wholesale, to also go into farmers markets in those areas. And you branched out of your bubble and got into.
Yes, that was a big deal at the time. I was like, oh my God, I have to drive all the way to Denver twice a week on the weekends. But that was the best thing I could have ever done for growing and recognition and, awareness. Boulder is kind of a bubble. It's great, but there's a whole big world outside of it. So
So in Master Your Business, a lot of what we do, a good part of it is creating that 10x goal that really becomes the North Star and the vision. Do you mind sharing kind of your 10x goal and where we're going?
I have a couple. Yeah, I'm toying with a couple, but last year's was to get into 200 stores. And, my wholesale business is now 80% of my business.
Okay.
So I don't think I made it 200 doors, but I'm now in 17 states. And a majority of that came at the end of last year when I started on the Faire wholesale platform. And every month since October has been steady increase in the number of orders and order size. Yes, starting on that, I think with that 10x goal of increasing the amount of doors really did help me get to, this point. And I'm going to continue with that growth this year. It's tricky because I don't have a product that I'm willing to sit there and sell religiously through ad spend on platforms online. The shipping costs are, exorbitant.
You have a frozen product.
Yeah, I have a frozen product that needs to get there in 2 days. So, but I do want to still have a presence and still have that channel open. But yeah, I have to, this is another thing, like stay away from the bright, shiny objects. Wholesale's working,
Right.
Keep on that path.
And well, I wanted to bring up your 10x goal. And, as a coach, I would say just extend that, right? That's a vision. Like
right.
I always talk about like, it's not a 1 year thing. We don't necessarily get 10x in 1 year. That's a lot, but you just extend that. Okay. That's a 2 year vision or a 3 year vision. And what you just said is that it helps to keep you focused and say what,
right.
Wait, and to make bigger, bolder moves, to pull bigger levers. Who are my who's? And really stay in your lane, which can be really challenging. I mean, it's all entrepreneurs are like, oh, I got a new strategy over here and shiny squirrel over there.
Yeah.
Shiny object.
Totally.
So I love that goal for you because ultimately, and we'll talk about Faire here in just a second too, but ultimately for you to be in 200 stores, then we need to be measuring it for one, but we also need to be thinking about, oh, if I'm going to be in 200 stores, Bridge House is awesome. And how can I keep that partnership? But I also need to be thinking about how do I supply 200 stores?
Yeah.
Right? How do I create great partnerships and keep the customers coming and the awareness? Because you do have an education issue too, right? Where a lot of people are like, what? Why do I need this?
Well, and also to go with this, like you also have to learn that all of those new customers on Faire are not necessarily going to be the best new customers.
Right.
They're still trying, there's still a trial phase. And to get to the ones that are going to be on constant monthly reorder takes time. You've got to maybe how many orders have I don't even know how many I've had. Maybe one in 20. Yeah. Are like that, like ready to reorder and ready to write the 5-star review. And, while, I can say I'm now in 17 states, but how many of those are really the customers that I want to be with that really help me move this to the next level by reordering?
I mean, and I appreciate you being honest about that because there is that, I think, people love to say like, I'm in 17 stores or I'm in this many doors but like the reality, and I talk to all of you, the reality of what's going on behind the doors is hard, right? And it's very common for brands at your stage and beyond to still not be making money overall in their business. You're making a lot of investments. You're making investments in acquiring new customers through Faire and other sources, right? You're going into distribution maybe sooner than you should because the margins aren't quite there. But you are, I mean, I look back from where you were a year ago and you've made you have good momentum. There's progress there.
Thank you. Yeah, there is progress there and it feels good. But again, we have to always be checking the numbers to make sure that this is really the right fit. Because I still don't really know if Faire is the right fit.
Right. It's an experiment. And we're kind of, I love that. Yeah. We got to put on our science coat and be like, this is an experiment and I'm testing it for a certain amount of time. And we did that in Master Your Business with cash flow. And I love that you told me, you're like, I did my cash flow and I'm looking ahead and seeing what's coming in. Because we also have to constantly be grounding ourselves. And if we only look at what just happened, you had a lot of money go out, but then looking ahead and saying, oh, there is money coming in, like reminding ourselves so we don't fall into pits of despair.
Truly. Because all of it, labels, boxes, insulation, ice packs. I mean, it is never ending, the supplies that you have to keep on steady order for
Right.
shipping frozen, you know?
And all the time that you're investing, whether it's you or your parents or your kids or putting everybody to work.
My poor parents were definitely put to work last week.
You got to like hold on to it so tightly and be like, yes, this is possible. I believe in it, reinforcing your belief and then acting as if, right? And so you continue, even though you haven't pulled the trigger on the co-packer, you are having the conversations, you are, working through the obstacles so that you are ready.
Yeah.
Because if we don't have a big 10x goal, then we kind of just end up floundering a little bit.
Well, and it's also the proof that you need to gain your own confidence in yourself and the belief that you can do it, and to prove to others that you are worthy of their belief, like I'm not just gonna quit. Like, of course I'm doing this. Like this is what's on the Faire's telling me. I got to ship all these orders. I'm not gonna not take that.
I really believe you will succeed. Success is possible for everyone as long as you don't quit. And a lot of people just quit so early.
Yeah, I agree too. And I think it's really important too to, like we were saying with the 10X goal, like it doesn't have to be this year. It might not even be next year, but just keep at it.
But not this for 8 years. You haven't quit.
8 years. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is huge. There's a lot of people, I would say, that would probably fit with like statistics. Probably 80% of people would have quit by now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not easy. It is not, especially with 3 active children and a very busy husband too. Like, yeah, we have a full
travels,
full
whole life. Yep. And so it's taken a little bit longer, but smash the clock. It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
You're still in it. You're having fun. And we have an incredible group. So people who go through Master Your Business have an option to then join a mastermind. So I'm curious, can you speak about like how helpful that mastermind and that group support has been, the community?
Yeah, I think it is immensely helpful because it's not only is it accountability. If they can do it, I can do it. Like, I may not get to my cash flow when I want to this week, but I'm definitely going to get it done because I have to. And it's what I said I was going to do. I think the friendships that come from it are really valuable. I love that we have the group text. I can't always answer right away, but if it's just to add words of encouragement or, I believe in you, you got this. You can't really measure that. There's no metric because you're so alone in this, your own journey. You don't have anybody that you're bouncing ideas off of. So to have somebody or a group that's there and ready to be like, sure, what do you need help with? What can I do? I've got this spreadsheet. I know this person. Invaluable.
Yeah, I love our group and you're gonna be our expert guest.
I don't know if I'm an expert.
Our guest about you are learning, which will be great for you to show us around Faire. Ryan with Pup and the Pepper, and you are gonna teach us about Faire and what you've learned and how to use it, which is so awesome. I love being able to bring you guys in. But I'm curious, what have you gotten out of, what are some of the big things you've gotten out of the membership, the fuel, the Master Your Business, 10X? How has that helped you along the way?
I love that I've now gone to fancy food with you twice, well, 3 times with you, but twice with with the group. And I love meeting the personalities there, hearing about their journeys and their products. The support is invaluable. Again, like I used to work in the corporate world and we would travel as a team. And so having people there with you, experiencing the same things, seeing the same new products, listening to the same speakers, that's great. And the mastermind group and the master your business is just the same. Like it just feels like they're your team and they got your back. I would 100% recommend it because I'm, like I said, I came from a corporate team before. I miss the camaraderie, and still it's hard, even with this team, to like shut down for the day. I work out of my home office. I don't stick to a routine. Every day's different because I got to do deliveries. I got to, do all of it. But just, yeah, well, and I just know that there are others in it with me.
Coming when you can and asking your questions so that you can get unstuck.
Right.
It's there to help you solve your problems.
Yeah, the Fuel community is great. Like any chances that I can be on those calls, I try to make it because I feel like I always gain something, a tip or a trick or, some other who that I didn't know about. So, yeah. And I think the guests that you have and the people, the connections that I've met just through you are invaluable. They may not work for my business right now, but maybe in the future, and gosh, are they fun? Like, Jane Hamill with the email marketing. And my bookkeeper, oh my gosh, Kelly, amazing.
Right? And all those people have been inside the program because I try to only hang out with cool people.
Kelly, like people. Yesterday, I was like near tears with her. I'm like, she really talked me off the edge. But honestly, like I didn't have an accountant before 2021. And I've only been working with Kelly since early last year. And man, what a difference it is to have her and her expertise helping with the books, because I'm not a bookkeeper.
We talk a lot about that in Master Your Business about like you got to learn it first and understand it, but then it's okay to turn things over to other who's that's their lane. And then that frees you up to go do all the Faire stuff and to do the hitting the streets and the marketing and the things that you're better at. And so it's tough at the beginning, but I'm making a guarantee. We're going to be talking about our offers, the 1 million offers book in our mastermind coming up. But the guarantee that I'm offering in Master Your Business is give me 3 months, give me 30 hours, and I will help you 10x that and get 300 hours back in your year. And it's a bold promise, but I know it's possible because I've seen it happen over and over again when people actually apply these tools and become the CEO, become the identity of running a business like a boss and not just a maker. And you've done it where you are finding who's and making investments and working with people who help you grow your business, like Jane, like Rob, like myself. Free you up to go be in your zone of genius and what you're really good at,
right,
and go grow the business, right, and use the momentum that you have. So you are coming in February, so it's not too late for people to join Fuel VIP. You and Ryan are going to talk about Faire. And for a long time, Faire didn't allow refrigerated or frozen products, but you kept on them. And as soon as they did, you took advantage of it and you've had some pretty great success.
Yeah, I think we'll haven't done the exact model that it needs to be to really look at it, but I think it is working.
It doesn't work for everyone, but I think it's good for people to know that this is an option and that your product might be a really good fit and how to use it to the best, to get the most out of it and how to save a little money on some of the fees and how to take advantage of the sales and things like that. So I'm seeing a lot of clients and members starting to use it with good success. And I'm excited for you guys to share your experience and show us the back end a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's also really important for people to understand if they're thinking about doing it and you haven't really shipped your product before, practice shipping a lot because customers don't want banged up boxes. And, I have a different product. I have to be really mindful of how I'm packing them and managing the whole, like I go and check 2 days after it goes to make sure that they all arrived, and you have to stay on it. Because if you need to file a claim, you got to get that in right away.
Yep.
It's more in terms of like your customer service. Like, how are you going to show yourself to these new retailers? And because my background in corporate retail with Nordstrom, I mean, their whole, model is the customer is always first. And so that's kind of how I've been modeling my business and my philosophy.
I love it. I love we're going to talk about all of that and the tips and everything. And that's a beautiful reminder because I think a lot of times we just try something and we don't actually like see it all the way through. We don't do all the things and we're like, it's not working. But we got to be fully committed. And that's part of, in Master Business, we talked about the 80-20 rule and constraint and staying focused, right? So you're going all in on this particular experiment. And that's what it is an experiment, but you're actually doing all the pieces of it to try to make it as successful as possible.
Yeah. And I think it's important for people to realize, maybe it's just my, where I am right now in my business, but I am obsessed with the customers. And I feel like you kind of have to get to that point to really make it work. They send messages I have it on my phone. So any message I see, I'm on it right away. And I want their satisfaction to be 100% because word of mouth is going to be such an important part of growth of this.
Well, you were showing up as a CEO and getting better every day, every month. Like it's the little shifts. And you and I bond a lot on like similar books and the way we approach things. So I really appreciate that about you. And it's so fun to be your coach and your friend. And
yeah, well, thank you. I mean, it has been just a joy to share this journey with you and the Fuel members and Master Your Business. So I appreciate all of it. So thank you for being here.
My pleasure. So as we leave for today, say goodbye. What would you tell somebody in your situation? Couple kids, husband, busy, lots going on.
I think if you, do the numbers, if you think you can financially do it, by what I mean is not pay yourself. And, if you have some money to put into creating these products, it is 100% fulfilling and so much fun. It is not easy. It's definitely not for the faint of heart, but I wouldn't put it off. I would get started right away. Yes.
Go get a coach and get community because that'll help you a lot. Oh, I wanted to mention too, I think one of the neat things that you are looking at for 2024 that we talked about is creating that board of advisors. And one thing I've seen you do is, fill your space, like be around other entrepreneurs, people in your community and our community. And I love that you're thinking ahead to like the people you surround yourself, really important, right? And you're saying, how do I fill my bench with the right people to help me get to the next level?
Yeah. I mean, that is one of the big goals for this year. I don't know if it's my 10X goal, but yeah, I do hope to have some people on the bench that are going to stand up for me. And it's not an easy decision because you're asking somebody to be there for you on a regular basis. And you may not have money, so you got to go, the equity route. And it's a little scary. So
it's definitely an investment for them and for you. And are you willing to really step up to the next level where other people are counting on you and betting on you to win? That's what bringing on advisors is all about. You keep getting scared and keep taking action anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, if there's not something scary on my calendar each week, then what's the point?
Yeah, I try to do a bold offer, bold action, at least weekly, if not My badass 30 is daily. So people have been getting some bold offers from me. I heard somebody say courage is peeing your pants and going on stage anyways.
Yeah. Got to get there. Got to do it. Show up.
Nothing in life is guaranteed. You can stay in your same situation exactly where you're at, and there's no guarantee of anything. So why not go after the thing that really excites you, that you have a passion around, but then we got to turn that passion into a business. That's where Master Your Business comes in.
Yes, thank you. It was fun.
Well, Jessica, it has been an honor and a pleasure, and hopefully it will not be 4 more years before we have you on the podcast and check in. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, thanks for having me.
All right. If you want to hang out with people like Jessica who are doing the hard work, who are taking bold action and getting the knowledge of what it's like to be a CEO in their business and get lots of support and expertise from me and the community, I want to invite you to come join us in Fuel or look into Master Your Business. Both are great options to get support that you need. And join us in February with Jessica and Ryan talking to us all about Faire. And to get signed up for Fuel, you go to foodbizsuccess.com/fuel. And if this is after the fact, then that recording, that replay will be in the vault as well. All right. Until next time, have an amazing week. The smartest thing you can do as an entrepreneur is to invest in a who to help you with the how, to speed up your journey and help you skip the line. When you are ready for more support and accountability to finally get this thing done, you can work with me in 2 ways. Get me all to yourself with one-on-one business coaching, or join Food Business Success, which includes membership inside Fuel, our community of food business founders that includes monthly live group coaching calls and so much more. It's one of my favorite places to hang out, and I would love to see you there. Go to foodbizsuccess.com to start your journey towards your own food business success.